Excellent. Laura, welcome back.
Thank you so much for having me again. I'm very excited to be here.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So, as I said previously, I'm not going to make an introduction of who you are. But if you just want to share a couple of minutes of where you've come from, that would be great. Just for people who haven't watched the first video.
hmm Yeah, so my story kind of goes like when I first got on my healing journey was really mainly when I was working as a paramedic. And even in school, even before that, like I had just struggled with a lot of anxiety and a lot of pressure on myself to perform and to really become something in this world. And that just led me to experiencing some health issues, a lot of digestive issues, some issues in my relationships. Um, a lot of like emotional turmoil, a lot of anger.
Mhm.
And it just kind of led me down this healing path. So when I was working as a paramedic, that was kind of when I had this like big awakening experience when my 6 year relationship ended. We had to sell the house. We had a couple of dogs, like the whole like version of success that I had created with my 6 figure income and my pension and my benefits and all of the things kind of came crashing down. And that was like my opportunity where I was like, you know what, I'm going to start living life for me and I'm going to start creating it moving forward. And that's when I kind of went on my personal development journey, healing journey, spiritual
Yeah.
journey. And here we are today, a completely different person and
Yeah.
just feeling like the absolute best that I ever have. And just so excited with my business and the people that I have surrounding me and the person that I am. And it's just very cool to kind of see how much things can change in such a short period of time when we're intentional about like what we're doing and who
Mm.
we're showing up as and gaining more knowledge and stuff about like what we're going to chat about today. So I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah, thank you. And it's a beautiful segue into what we are going to be talking about today. I really don't have any questions. I just want this to flow organically as a conversation between two colleagues, between two people, and. So we are going to be talking today about the 5D consciousness and energy. Now, what I want to cover today in our short time that we have together, and again, this is going to be a series, and I'm excited about that. It's about the fifth dimension consciousness, what it is, why we're talking about it today, and how we can access this dimension, right?
Mhm.
Um, so for you, and again, what I'm going to be talking about today is personal experience. It's what I've been shown, what I've channeled, what I have envisioned, what I've been told about. So it's not like I went off and did a course or a study about it, but I'm going to be sharing with you what worked for me and what it is for me.
Mhm.
Yeah. So for
Mhm.
you, Laura, when I say what is the fifth dimension, what do you see it as?
I love how you shared about it being like from personal experience as well. And obviously it's going to be the same for
Yeah.
me. And I know I shared this with you before when we were chatting about this. And a lot of my kind of experiences, the embodied experiences of new energies for me came a
Mm,
lot
mm,
from sitting with plant medicines and ceremony with ayahuasca, with bufo, different psychedelics and master teachers. And in those experiences, like I remember one of them specifically where like just connecting with such a higher vibrational energy, like I was completely out of my body and connected with this energy. And ayahuasca was really just showing me like what is possible, all of these different levels of
mm.
energy that are possible for us to embody, and how
Yeah.
through our lifestyle and through the things that we do, we get to then integrate these light codes or this energy and frequency into our physical bodies. However, there's things that happen in our life. Our minds hold us back from really doing it. Our belief systems,
Yeah.
the emotions that were stored in our body, the traumas we've experienced that we haven't allowed to process and to shift and transmute. All of these things kind of hold us back from really being able to step into the higher vibrational energies, which really is just like, to me, when I've experienced that, and even I've had moments in my life, like I find a lot of the time when I'm solo traveling
Mm,
and it's just me, I've got nobody else telling me where to go or what to do. I'm not focused on my business stuff. I'm not focused on anything else. And I can literally just be as free as I want to be. Those are the times when I connect in the most with that level of consciousness, because I don't have all of these things like, oh, I need to make money or I need to do this. Like, it's like, I just get to be myself fully, freely, and really like allow it to be this like beautiful spiritual experience where I don't plan anything. And it just literally shows up in the most beautiful ways, the things that unfold, the experiences that I have, the people that I meet, and just the way that I'm feeling. Like, it's just such an incredible thing. And so that's for me what really accessing those higher dimensional things are. And for me, plant medicines were really expanders for me. That's really all they are. You know, they show you something that's possible. And then that's really where the real work comes in, because then you have to learn how to shift and integrate that into your everyday life. So that you can embody these energies more often, which just is really, to me, just feeling better in your body, feeling better in your mind, feeling more connected to your purpose, to what you're here for, to just really overall feeling good.
Yeah, I love that. You summed that up beautifully.
Thank you, Nora.
Yeah. For me, it is an energetic space. It is just, you know, whenever I talk about, and this is one of those conversation pieces that flicks my switch. I can talk about this for hours and hours, and it's a very polarizing topic, especially in today's chaotic climate. And when I start talking about it with people, it's like they either go, oh my God, that's so great. Yes, I'm feeling exactly the same and I'm seeing the same things. Talk more. Or there's, are you
no relation.
crazy? Yeah, there's crickets. Are you crazy? What the hell? What are you on? Yeah. But for me, what I was shown a few years ago was the fifth dimension, or if you want to, I'm calling it the fifth dimension or the fifth dimension frequencies, because that is the common term that's out there at the moment. What I was shown was the fifth dimension to me is just a doorway, literally just a doorway to the realm of infinite possibilities. It's infinite. I was shown that every second of every day there's a pathway. And it's by our choice that we get to choose whatever pathway or outcome that we're going to undertake or experience, right? So, you know, as you said, we are shown, and also, sorry, I don't mean to jump all over the place. I've got a lot going on in my head right now. So
that's okay.
And one of the conversation topics that comes back to me a lot is, you know, oh, there's this veil separating the worlds and separating what I can see. And I go, no, literally, there's no veil. At the moment, right now, the veil is non-existent. So whatever, you know, if you want to access fifth dimension energies and possibilities, you can in a heartbeat. You can in a second. It shows me what's possible, right? I don't have to wait years and years and years. I can think about, and this is how I do it. I can think about something and it happens before even the thought is finished. Okay? So the question for me is, what came first, the consciousness or the thought? Or did my consciousness cause the thought in to get me to think about it? Right. So there's this it's really interesting, but it is, for me, the fifth dimension is the dimension of choice. It's the dimension of infinite possibilities. And as you said, once you're shown all these magnificent things, the things that are our birthright, the things that we can access within a heartbeat, we've then got to go through the human aspect. And you're right, the brain goes, who the hell do you think you are? That you can do this, that you can speak this, that you can say this. Who do you think you are? You know, you were born in a war-torn Lebanon and you've come to Australia. No one's going to listen to you. So yeah, the ego gets in the way because the ego wants to keep you safe. Well, we're at a critical point in history where never before have we been able to create everything like this in a second, in a split second. But you have to go through the human aspect first. Clear your emotional trauma out of your body, out of your muscles, out of your organs. Clear your self-limiting beliefs. That's a really big one, but it's about and this is my advice to all my clients, is do the work. Do the work. Do the work. Don't just sit there and think that this is going to be instant. If you haven't gone through the dark night of the soul yet, ask for it, because that to me was step number one to getting to this place. You have to go through
Totally.
the death of the ego, the dark night. I've been through like 4 of them so far. And I'm telling you, every time I've gone through one, I have upset everyone around me, because it's like you are eliminating at a deep, deep level the toxicity that you've picked up along the way. And you cannot vibrate at this new level if you're vibrating at the level of, if you're still playing in the level of the Maya and the clay and the low elementals, that has to be dealt with. So, if you haven't gone through the dark night of the soul, ask for it, go through it. It's ugly. It is so ugly. You ugly cry. You're in bed, a blanket over your head. You don't want to get out of bed. But I tell you what, when you come out of it, it's like this, light.
Butterfly out of the cocoon.
Yes, it really is. It really
Yeah.
is. So I've talked way too much right now. What's been your experience to accessing this? Let me go back a couple of steps before I ask that question. Now, this is something that I practice a lot and I teach a lot on, is Nikola Tesla saying, if you want to understand the universe or the keys to the universe, think of it in terms of energy, vibration, frequency. And that's all the fifth dimension is. It's just a frequency. Yeah. So Laura, what was your memory of accessing it, or what did you have to overcome to actually access this doorway into the fifth dimension?
Yeah. Well, I think I talked about it in the first interview, was I kind of, after my relationship ended, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to go on this personal exploration journey. I'm going to find myself. I'm going to kind of do, it's just like this calling, it was like, nobody could have told me to do this. It had to come within for me to kind of go on to it. And it was just like you said, everybody has that time where it's their time to go through their spiritual awakening experience. And I really do believe that when we ask for it, it then comes, right? And I didn't intentionally ask for it, that I can consciously think of. However, something within me was obviously asking for it. And so when I kind of went on that journey, it like led me to that ayahuasca ceremony. And after that, like I went through some really wild experiences. That was right when 2020 was when I came home to Canada, and I was only planning on being home for about a month. And I was planning on going back to Colombia and getting a student thing there, learning Spanish, living over there. Because when I was over there, after kind of going through that experience of my ayahuasca ceremonies, I was like, I can't go back to the society that royally messed me up. I had so much resentment and so much anger inside of me because I had connected with my true self, and then I was then left with being with my human self, which had all of this mental conditioning and this programming and all of these emotional patterns that were just holding me back from living into and embodying and being that highest version of myself that I connected with, and that I saw who she was. And I was like, she's freaking dope, man. She's doing cool things. She feels great. And then here I am as this human self, like feeling like so heavy in my body and not being where I actually wanted to be. So when I came back to Canada, I ended up staying in Canada for about 2 years because of all the lockdowns and everything. Wasn't able to leave the country. And so when I went through that experience, after coming back home as well, I had sold my vehicle because I was like, I don't want to be paying all these payments. I had sold my houses at that point. So I was kind of just like, I minimized my life as much as I could at that point. And I was living in Ottawa here at somebody's house that I had met. And I was there for 3 months. And at his house, I went through like the most craziest just spiritual experiences. And prior to that, I had actually went to the year prior to that. So that was 2020. I went to an astrologer and got connected with my astrologer, Dimitri. And so I'm so grateful for his guidance, because he was able to share with me what was ahead. And he had said, he's like, you're going to have like crazy panic attacks. Like there's going to be a lot of fear and all of these things. And here I am, I'm like, no, like, that's not going to happen. And I remember being like literally in the middle of the night, like trying to sleep. And even the wind on like the side of the house was like, I was shaking and I was literally like panicking. However, it was almost like I had this like third party view of myself. And because I knew that it was going to happen, it was like I could hold myself and witness myself through it. And at that point as well, like I was seeing like timelines of my life. Like I was being shown, like, if you show up this way, this is what your life is going to look like. If you show up this way, this is what your life is going to look like. And it was just like really just like I was being shown, and this was me completely sober, you know, like no, nothing. Right. But I'm sure you know that like even with plant medicines and stuff, when our pineal gland gets decalcified, we start connecting in with these different energies and these different experiences. And when you mentioned about like people looking at you and not having any resonance with whatever, just kind of like, what the heck, that used to be me. Because I literally, even like psychics and stuff like this, like I believed in it, because there were some things like my mom would go to psychics or whatever, and like stuff that they would say, like they had no access to that information, you know, and they would share things that were like so on point, where you're like, that's not made up. So there's something else out there, you know, but like I didn't have any personal experiences. So I wasn't like, I didn't believe in it, but I didn't not believe in it. Like I was just kind of in the middle ground. And so after going through that whole experience, like myself and like experiencing all of this stuff, and I was being shown, like, I remember being in the shower and I just started bawling my eyes out, because I was being shown like me having healing centers and this and that. And I'm like, how am I supposed to do all of this? Like, what do you mean, me? And I'm like having these big things, and I'm like thinking like, oh my gosh, this is going to be like something that's happening tomorrow. Like I'm not capable of this, you know? But it was really like, it was like just showing me like what is going to be there for my life, you know? And it's these experiences that you can't really explain to somebody until you start having them yourself. Like when you said, when you start going through that dark night of the soul, and you start kind of awakening to these greater things, that happens for everybody at different times from different experiences. Sometimes they're from very traumatic experiences that happen in our life. Sometimes they're spontaneous. Mine was pretty traumatic with my relationship ending and all of that stuff. It can be a lot more traumatic for other people. And other people just kind of gradually go through this spontaneous awakening experience, you know, and get to awaken to all of this stuff. But that was kind of like the core of it. So I was going through like crazy, like manic depressive episodes where sometimes I was feeling on top of the world. I'd be like ready to take action on like having clients and doing this and doing that. And then other times I would just be in these deep depressive states where like I couldn't do anything but get off the couch, you know? And it was really teaching me like to surrender to it. And that's where like the shadow work really came in, of learning how to like shift and transmute and learn the lessons that these things are teaching us, and learn this mental stories that I picked up from my childhood or from my parents or from the culture that I was raised in, and then really being able to pick up tools to be able to start shifting them and reprogram my mind so that I could continue like leveling up and embodying kind of those higher vibrational energies that we were talking about, so that I could actually accomplish the things that I wanted to accomplish.
I love that. That's, there's so much there I want to unpack, but you know, given the shortage of time, anyway, that's beside the point. I know. So, you know, there might be some people here watching today going, well, why? I'm happy in my life. I'm happy with, and that's great. That honestly, that is great. What I can see is the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. And this was a few months ago when I finally heard the voice and I finally paid attention, because they've been, when I say they, that's my, you know, whatever you want to call them, guides, spirit guides, future self, higher self, whatever you want, terminology you want to put on that. When they said to me, you need to bring everything back to basics and you need to simplify it, keep it simple. And that's what I did. I kept it simple. And next step was, when I did that, literally the next step was start speaking about it. And for years, they've been saying to me, just open your mouth and talk. And here I am, this introvert that can't, I'm the most socially awkward person. Seriously, I've worked through that though. I'm doing work with my inner child wounds and things like that. So I'm working through that. So it was, the next step was start what I'm doing now to lift the vibration of the planet. What I was shown was there at the moment, because we're in such a chaotic and fearful state, there is this, and I saw this tsunami of chaos and fear, because everyone's putting fear. It's like putting thoughts. It's like putting money in a bank. You're putting thoughts into this tsunami. And that's what the greater humanity doesn't understand, is the thoughts and the feelings of fear. We're putting them into this invisible thing called the consciousness. And and it's building up and building up. So it became a tsunami, right? So what I'm doing is I'm raising the vibration, mine and others. Even if one person listens to this and goes, yep, that's going to have a ripple effect. So it is about the vibration, feeling that vibration of the fifth dimension, right? The next question I want to get into is how. How do we do it? How do we step into that, right?
Yeah.
How did you do it? How did you do it, Laura? Like consciously, how did you do that?
Well, it's different for everybody. For me, I honestly just followed my intuitive nudges. Like things would just come in and I would feel called to things. So looking back, I can see the roadmap that I was led down. But in the moment, it was just like an interest to learn about this topic or this or that. And I ended up, the very first initial thing that I did was I started shifting around my nutrition and started like being more conscious of the things that I was physically putting in my body, like having clean filtered water, like good quality water, being able to get the Eastern cultural herbal stuff in and being able to cut back on sugar. And at that point, I was reducing things like dairy in my life. And it was really just the things that I was tuning into my body and recognizing didn't really feel good to me. And I think that was the biggest thing. It was like being more conscious of what made me feel better versus things that made me feel worse. And then just slowly filtering through them and removing the things that weren't feeling good to me. And then continuing to make space for the things that were feeling good for me. And yoga was another big thing for me. Meditation was a big thing for me. Emotional clearing with the spiral was a big thing for me. I went through a program called Recover and Rise, which was amazing. It really helped me to really be able to just understand a lot more. And I really like a lot of it that I learned was on YouTube, like listening to interviews like this, where you can just nerd out on topics. And I learned so much about like traditional Chinese medicine and 5 elemental theory and the chakra system and the scale of consciousness, like there were so many different things that I started learning that I was like, you know what, this makes sense. I hadn't heard of any of this stuff before, but when I like sat with it, there was just like this like resonance in my body that, this stuff makes sense. And it's interesting because my ego back then was like thinking that I knew so much, yet I don't know what the saying is. Maybe you know what it is, but it's like the more you know, the more you realize you don't know.
The more you know, the more you don't know.
Exactly. And that's
what
truly what it is, because there's limitless information. I was just saying this to somebody earlier and just saying that like I'm going to be that person that's like 85 and still learning and like still on this podcast and sharing it and stuff like that, because I just love learning now. And I realize that there's limitless information for us to learn.
Oh, there is. And I just lost my thought. The how. Step number 1 for me was self-awareness. Like have a really proper sense of self. And that means, okay, this one is one that's so hard for people to understand, is understand who you are, is that you're not just this physical being. There's so much more to you. And accessing the fifth dimension will help you see that, feel it, and experience it. And I've been doing this one technique now for like 20, 25 years. I learned it when I first studied NLP, and that's the future visioning process. And I want to take people through this. It's being able to feel and to see your future and then bring it into the now. And that's what I mean by there's no veil between all the dimensions. You can step into anyone that you want, yeah? But you have to have an understanding of who you are, is that you are creator. First and foremost, you are creator. I don't have to pray to a God to be blessed. I know I'm blessed because I'm here and drawing breath. Simple, simple. And it's my belief system that will either encourage me to keep moving forward with this, or just to go backwards and go, no, I'm happy with my lot. Thank you very much. Yeah. So that's another deep, deep topic I really want to get into, is who are you? Who are you in the grand scheme of things? Who are you really at the core? Who do you believe you are? And I think that's the biggest stumbling block for a lot of people, is understanding who they truly are.
For
I mean,
sure.
when I ask my clients, who are you? They'll give me their labels. I'm a this and I do that and I earn this much and blah, blah, blah. And that's great. We all have our labels, but go beyond that. Go into the realm where the physical does not exist. Who are you then?
Yeah.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah. And you really have to go through that big
Oh, yeah.
experience
Yeah,
like we
yeah.
shared in order to really understand
Oh, yeah.
what that is. Because it's like,
Yeah.
we're so used to just like
Yeah.
identifying ourselves as certain labels, and a
Yeah,
lot of them are really
exactly. And
just
it's so
labels.
limiting, isn't it?
It is so limiting.
It puts a
Yeah.
lid on it. Well, I do this for a living. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
But it's, the fifth dimension to me is limitless. It is limitless. So you can have, be, do, see, experience everything and anything that you want. And the physical aspect of me looks out and says, I created that. My thoughts and my brain patterning and my beliefs has just created this. And again, I've had a lot of pushback on this as well. Yeah, we live in a fucked up world. Diseases exist. I get that. I get that a lot. And I'm not saying you caused that to happen at all, but we can change it. We can change everything. That's the power of living in the fifth dimension frequency and vibration. We can affect what's going on in the world right now. We really can. We don't have to add to the belief that we're powerless in all of this. Yeah?
For sure. Yeah.
Laura, we got literally 1 minute left and I can't believe how quickly this went. So do you have any finishing words just to sort of put icing on the cake of this?
I think one kind of thing that I wanted to share with what you had just shared about, like there's this, I like to think of like the mind as kind of like a filing system, right? Like the brain kind of remembers everything. And it really is, in order to get to that 5D consciousness, it's like that full integration of mind, body, and spirit.
And
right?
that
And
is the
so
Holy Trinity for me. That's the Holy Trinity.
Yeah, 100%. It definitely is. And it's like, it takes time
Yes.
to be able to really master all of it, and like I've done quite a lot and I think I understand it pretty well, but I'm going to continue learning all of that stuff. But one thing that really kind of sticks with me is understanding that the mind is like a filing system. And so we have all of these different beliefs and stories and thoughts and programming that started right back from when we were born, that most of it, and even before, exactly, that most of it is in our unconscious mind that we don't even really understand. We can't see it. So it's not until we start really pulling them out one by one, looking in this file and being like, oh, I remember my father used to say that there was never enough money. Oh, that's where that belief came from.
Yes.
Okay. Well, let's reprogram this one belief about money,
Yeah.
and like, oh, yeah, I remember this happened in my life. And that's why I feel like I'm not worthy of love, and like being able to really
Exactly.
work on that and like really
Yeah.
being able to shift that. So
Yeah.
it's like this combination of like being able to do like the reprogramming of
Yeah.
beliefs. But
Yeah.
then also, like, I think there's so much power with working with the body, because once we start
Totally.
accessing the body, that's
Yeah.
accessing the unconscious mind,
Yeah.
where we can actually clear the sensations and clear the density that brings us
Yeah.
back to those times
Those
in our life,
beliefs. Yeah,
so
exactly.
that we can actually clear
Mm.
them and understand them more and fully be
Yeah.
able to process them and integrate them, which then allows our spirit to actually come through and flow
Correct.
through us.
Correct.
So
I
it's
love
a
that.
big, long process.
Yeah,
So
it
I
is
think
a process.
wherever,
It really is a process, 100%, and it will take time. But I think step number
yeah,
one, honestly, is choice. Choose to
it
do
is.
it.
Yeah.
Just choose to go through it. Reach out to myself, reach out to Laura. If any of our conversations has resonated with you, please reach out and let me help you, or let Laura help you unravel the emotions that have been stuck in your body. Laura, I've got to end it, unfortunately. I love this
Um,
topic. I love the talking in depth like this, and we have to continue this conversation.
oh, I would love that.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear more about your story as well,
Yeah.
too.
Oh, lovely. I'll do that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you
Oh,
soon.
thanks so much for having me.
Okay. Bye now.
Bye.